What's going on, guys? It's UrAvgConsumer, and today we got some iPhones, baby. So we've got the iPhone 14 lineup, -1, but that one's it's a little bit later. We'll get our hands on that, don't worry. But we got most of the lineup right here. We've got the iPhone 14, 14 Pro, and 14 Pro Max. So we're gonna, of course, pop open the boxes and see what that first time experience is like. You guys will get some of our first impressions at home, you know? So fellas, where do we start? Okay, 14, I'll call it 14. All right, so right here, we got the iPhone 14. Now Apple dropped the iPhone 14 as well as the iPhone 14 Plus. They brought back the Plus. This is the 6.1 inch display, while the 14 Plus has the 6.7 inch, so it's the bigger brother. Pretty normal box. You know, they've got these flat boxes now. Let's just pop it open. Okay, so we got the blue color over here. This is actually a new blue. Oh, look at these edges too. This is nice. So we've got the blue one here, but they've got some other color options as well. They've got midnight, starlight, purple, as well as that product red. Let's peel the sticker off. There you go. Now design-wise, oh, look at me jumping the gun. I didn't even show you in the box. So inside the box, we of course have our USB-C to lightning cable, so you can have that fast charging if you have a fast charging brick, not included. But you also get some paperwork in here. Now, interestingly enough, it says you no longer need a physical SIM card. Activate your eSIM during the iPhone setup. So we're gonna see what that one's like. Now, I didn't get this from retail, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna see the exact same eSIM setup portion during startup. I think there's a phone number attached to this already, but we'll see what it says and if we can add one during the setup anyway. Now, I feel like if there's any kind of controversy around this phone, it's the fact that there's no longer a SIM tray. Now, me personally, I'm not mad at that because from what I've learned, it should be pretty simple to get the eSIM set up if you're coming from an iPhone. So looking around the phone itself, it's a very similar design overall. We still have our dual camera system in the back. We got the glass back over here. This is the shiny back. You know, with the Pros, you get that like matte glass. This one is just shiny. All right, we are ready to go. Now, we've all seen an iPhone get set up before, but I'm just curious about that eSIM part. All right, so it's taking a few minutes to activate the phone right now, but let's kind of just talk about the 14. So obviously we see the design, the body, but inside we've also got the A15 Bionic processor. Now you might be thinking, hey, the 13 also had the A15 Bionic. There's no upgrade here in the processor. That's not actually true. Well, technically it's true. This is the A15 Bionic from the iPhone 13 Pro. 13 Pro. It has the same power as the 13 Pro. But that was more powerful than the 13, so still a spec bump. It's just a small one, but still a spec bump. Now, what's also different are the cameras. We got some new camera sensors in here. We should be getting some better performance. Of course, I'm gonna be doing a real day in the life with this, so we test out all of the different aspects of it, see what those improvements really look like. So definitely subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, if you want to see more of that kind of coverage. I believe these are both 12 megapixel. We have your wide angle as well as your ultra wide. And in the front, we've got our 12 megapixel front facing camera. But what's different here is that it now has autofocus, something that was never on the previous generations. So that is new to the 14 lineup. All right, so setting up cellular. So this is the number that came with this phone, but I think this would be the part where you'd be able to transfer over your SIM information right to the phone. I believe you can have up to 2 eSIMs active at a time, and it can store a total of 8 SIMs altogether.
So you can have a phone number?
Stored, but only 2 active.
Oh, 2 active.
So you can, I guess maybe if you want to disable one of the numbers, throw on one of the other numbers, you can do that. All right, so cellular setup is complete. No SIM required. It just kind of did it. Now what's nice is that if you purchase this on Apple's website, I believe you can select your carrier and all that. You can put your account in there. So when you get your phone, your process kind of looks like this. But all right, so we're in. This is the 14. Feels good. Shall we move on to the Pro?
Please.
Jay's like, let's go. Let's go. So we've got 2 Pro options over here. We've got the deep, I did it again. So we've got the space black and the deep purple. So let's open them both, kind of take a look at them. All right. So this is the deep black, and I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I think this is the one I'm going for. So check this out. The box. Same experience, honestly, between the 14 and the 14 Pro. You get your Lightning to USB-C, and you get your paperwork. This one also talking about the eSIM. Now that that's over, let's take a look at the phone. This is not just like a space gray. This legit feels like black. Do you see the edges? I think these are the darkest edges that they've made for their black versions. Especially since there's no blue this time around. Your boy's gonna go with the black. I'm back with the black. I think this is gonna be my color for sure. Now this is the 14 Pro, let's do 14 Pro Max. And here is this, deep purple 14 Pro Max. Not gonna lie, for purple, this is kind of clean. Carl would love this. Carl would love this. This is the one Ari's going for. Ari's going for deep purple this time around.
It's a nice shade of purple.
Right? It's deep. All right, so this is the Max. This is the standard. What color would you go for, Jay?
Not the purple.
Not the purple. So black?
I mean, they have other colors, so.
Oh, so you're right. There are two other colors. So we got deep purple, space black, and there's silver and gold. Like reminds me of Pokemon. Silver's always better. Silver's always better. Now we still have the same stainless steel frame around the phone. Now, of course, no SIM cutout. And in the back, you've got your triple camera system, and those lenses look huge. So now we've got a new sensor in here, a 48 megapixel sensor, the most we've ever seen from Apple. I'm excited to see what the raw photo capabilities are like here. Not to mention, a low light performance across the board is getting a lot better. I'm gonna do a little bit of testing in here before we get to the real day in the life, because I'm just super curious. So let's turn this bad boy on. And I think the first thing you're gonna notice, oh, interesting. So you can actually see the sensors and the cutouts for the camera. It kind of does look like what the rumors had, but I guess the software side of things is what gives it that dynamic island. Okay, but you see, it all goes away and now it just looks like this.
I thought that was just one big.
Just one, like thought it was a pill, right? You thought it was just one big pill, but it's not. So let me go ahead and set this up. We've already seen what the setup process looks like. Let's just jump in. Oh, that's different. Check this out. So the dynamic island, it just expanded. All right. You see it come into effect right away. Now, I know everyone's kind of heard about this dynamic island, but for those of you who've never heard of it, it turns that camera portion into a nice little spot so that you can see special information from apps. It's really, really cool. We'll talk about it a little bit more though. I love how it just goes back in. I love that. It's very smooth. It's crazy. It feels like there's so much more space at the top right now. Let's see, what's so different here? The notch is actually, this little cutout is actually smaller than the notch.
Oh yeah.
You see that? So there is some more real estate. So now we're up to emergency SOS. Emergency SOS has already existed, but with the new iPhone 14 lineup, you will now get emergency SOS via satellite. So what does that mean? If you're somewhere with no cellular reception or Wi-Fi, you can actually use emergency SOS via satellite to find a satellite to connect to so you can reach out to emergency responders so that you can get the help you need depending on where you are if you need it. And alongside emergency SOS, these phones also have crash detection. So God forbid you get into an accident, this phone is going to be able to contact emergency services as well as your emergency contacts after about 10 seconds if you don't alert it that you're just fine. Just in case you were to pass out or something, it'll get emergency services or your contacts on the scene pretty quickly. It's amazing stuff. All right, so we're here, we're in, and we talked about the camera, we talked about the overall body, but something we didn't really talk about is the Super Retina XDR display. So this display is actually really impressive. Oh, there's so many little nuggets that we're getting here. So just hitting the mute slider, you can see that it's now silent. You can see when you take it off, oh, it does a little jingle. But what's cool about this is that it hits a peak brightness of 1600 nits, So when you're watching that HDR content, you're gonna have some really great highs. But what's also cool is that this thing has a peak outdoor brightness of 2,000 nits. Absolutely insane. Now what they've also added with this display is the always on display. So when you actually turn it off, you can see that the always on display is just, it's there, it's on. Now for those of you concerned about battery life, because this is a ProMotion display that can go from 1 hertz all the way up to 120 hertz. Basically what that means is it can make your phone go from really, really smooth and really fast and responsive all the way down to a much slower speed where it's not refreshing as much. That should substantially bring down the energy usage while it's on. So it shouldn't be too bad. We're gonna test it out and see how it works in the real world. But there are a couple cool things with this always on display. So obviously if you keep it here, it's going to be on. But if you put it like this, the phone is actually smart enough to know that it's not in a position where you can see it. So it turns off the display completely. So when you raise it, it turns on. Now what's also cool is if you've got like AirPods on and you walk away from your phone, it can detect that you are no longer close to the phone and also turn off the display.
When you take out the earbuds, it's gonna stop.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like when it doesn't detect that it's in your ear anymore, it turns itself off. Pretty similar. Now we all know that the phone has a bunch of sensors up top here, which is why they've got like that whole notch in the first place. Some of that is actually under the screen now, but one of the sensors is an ambient sensor, so it can detect how much light is in the room. That's how you get, you get that auto brightness feature. But what's really cool is that they've added a second one in the back. So what this one does is, depending on the brightness of your background, it can also adjust the brightness. All right, so we got a good idea of the hardware, some of the software aspects, but what's powering this thing? We haven't talked about that. That is the new A16 Bionic chip. We're gonna get more power efficiency out of this. So you get the better specs, better performance without it hurting your battery. So now I wanna jump back into the eSIM portion and actually transfer over my regular phone SIM over to this guy. So let's see what that process looks like. So I see add eSIM in the cellular setting. Right there, it just pops up. And now this is the experience I think most people will get when they're setting up their phones for the first time. You got your iPhone nearby, you just be able to tap this one thing, transfer number, so transfer SIM, it's activating right now. Confirm transfer, and we'll be good to go. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna download all of my stuff first on this and then transfer over, just so I can be all good to go. But either way, you guys saw it yourselves. It's a really simple process. All right, so a big part of me, you guys, I just really want to try out the cameras. So right now we're using the main sensor, and this looks wider, doesn't it? Yeah, there's more in the frame, like the space on the table. Now that is because it's a larger sensor. I really want to see the ultra wide performance here. So now we're in the kitchen where lighting isn't super crazy. We're just going to look at the level of detail. Okay, that's exciting. I love the ultra wide, so this is one of those parts where I just really wanted it to get better, and it's 3 times better now. All right, but we gotta save some goodness for the real day in the life where we actually spend the full day and test it out, and I give you guys my full thoughts on the phone. All right, now we do have some accessories. So let's see, we've got the leather case for the Pro Max. What color is this? Ink? Is this their purple? Yeah, ink is their purple. This looks purple to you? Am I colorblind? This looks blue to me. Dom, what are you seeing?
It does look more like a blue.
You know they say men are more colorblind than women.
That's true, I guess.
I believe it. Ari's probably like, it's so purple. So we got a leather wallet right here. Yeah, this is purple too, or ink rather. Now we do have some cases for the other phones as well. Okay, is this the silicone for the 14 Pro? Oh, that's nice. Listen, man, the black is dope. And then we also have the blue case for the iPhone 14. Bam, confirmed blue case. So if you guys want to see even more accessories than what we've talked about in today's video, let me know. We're gonna be doing a full-blown iPhone 14 accessory video where you can find just about everything you'd want to make sure your iPhone experience is top-notch. I'll have that link down below once that drops. But that about wraps it up for this video, guys. What do you guys think of the 14 and the 14 lineup?
Oh, I like either.
The pros is so.
Yeah. You upgrading, Jay?
I think so.
Would you consider it dumb?
Definitely.
All right, full review coming soon with the real day in the life, accessory video, and a lot more content. Till then, it's your average consumer. Peace. Purple. It's growing on me, I'm not gonna lie.